I actually
And
totally disagree. I think what Israel has done since is far, far worse, and it's empirical. So they've killed 62,000 now. Hamas killed 1,200. My heart breaks for that 1,200. There was kids in there. There was terrible things that were done in there. Now Israel has done every one of those things, but times 60. So don't tell me that Israel is more moral. I would argue they are more immoral. And especially when you're Goliath, you have a responsibility to tread a little bit more carefully. And Israel has done the exact opposite. And remember, they're the ones who started it by occupying them in the first place. There's not a single Texan that would ever tolerate what Israel has done to the Palestinians.
well, we could go over the number of times that Israel has been attacked. And when you say that they have done the same or worse, I don't know of an aggressor that has gone to the lengths that Israel has gone to, dropping leaflets, warning people, get out of this area, get out of this area, get out of this area, because we're coming after the aggressors. To me, they have gone to extreme lengths to try and protect civilian life.
62,000 to 1,200. He says the number out loud, and the other side has no answer. Cenk Uygur sits across from Dr. Phil on Dr. Phil's own show and refuses to play the yeah but game. He names it as it's happening. Then he does the thing almost nobody on American TV will do. He makes the moral math simple. Israel killed 60 times the civilians. So how is 60 times the death more moral than one? And if you've ever been called an anti-Semite for asking that exact question, watch how Cenk handles it. He says he wants a safe haven for Jewish people, says they deserve it. And in the same breath, he says Israel is acting as a terrorist state right now. He holds both. That's the position they keep telling you is impossible to hold. Dr. Phil reaches for the leaflets argument. They warn civilians. No aggressor's gone to such lengths. And Cenk just names what's actually happening. The AI targeting program reported as "Where's Daddy?" that waits until a man gets home so the strike takes his whole family. Leaflets on one side, "Where's Daddy?" on the other. See which one survives. If you're tired of being told that naming 60,000 dead makes you the extremist, subscribe to The Honest Perspective. We don't do the yeah but. We do the receipts. I'm Neil. This is The Honest Perspective. And we're not pretending 60 times is a rounding error. Let's get into it.
So look, nobody ever talks about the whole context of the situation. So the reality is that 5.5 million Palestinians have been occupied by Israel for 57 long years. And so no one would tolerate being occupied at all, let alone for 57 years. And the analogy I often use is Texas. So if somebody came and occupied Texas, do you think Texas might fight back? Do you think the citizens might fight back? And especially if you took away any opportunity to do it in a legitimate way, do you think maybe an insurgency would rise that others would call terrorism, right? So now that doesn't justify the terrorism, but it just explains to you how we got here. So 57 years, so then Hamas does something terrible in return, okay? And then Israel goes, oh, you want to see terrible? We'll show you terrible, and levels the whole place. So, but what Israel doesn't understand is that they are Goliath. For all of Jewish history, they have been David, and they have been abused, and they have been traumatized, and I don't know people that have suffered more, right? But they're misunderstanding the current situation. They're no longer David. They're Goliath, plus they've got even bigger Goliath behind them, and they're beating up on these folks when they got to let them go.
Okay, but you just said a really important word. You just said but.
Mm-hmm.
You just said for all of this time, they have been David. But that means forget everything I just said. I'm going to now tell you what I really mean.
No, it doesn't.
Now they're Goliath.
No, it just means the situation has changed.
It has changed. I'm saying you can't forget all of that time. And I don't want to get into a yeah, but. The situation is complex, and the Palestinians have been offered peace accords and all different kinds of opportunities to change this occupation circumstance time and time and time again. We can go back and forth about that. My point is that there is no moral equivalent to what happened on October 7th.
I actually totally disagree. I think what Israel has done since is far, far worse, and it's empirical. So they've killed 62,000 now. Hamas killed 1,200. My heart breaks for that 1,200. There was kids in there. There was terrible things that were done in there. Now Israel has done every one of those things, but times 60. So don't tell me that Israel is more moral. I would argue they are more immoral. And especially when you're Goliath, you have a responsibility to tread a little bit more carefully. And Israel has done the exact opposite. And remember, they're the ones who started it by occupying them in the first place. There's not a single Texan that would ever tolerate what Israel has done to the Palestinians.
Well, we could go over the number of times that Israel has been attacked. And when you say that they have done the same or worse, I don't know of an aggressor that has gone to the lengths that Israel has gone to, dropping leaflets, warning people, get out of this area, get out of this area, get out of this area, because we're coming after the aggressors. To me, they have gone to extreme lengths to try and protect civilian life. But if you have people that come across and assassinate women, children, and infants in their cribs, and then run back and hide in populous areas, schools, hospitals, and tunnels, and say, well, I'm now in a neighborhood, so you can't come after me, that's violating the rules of war. That's violating every possible measure of warfare that you can possibly do. You can't do that and expect, okay, so I get away with it. That's not going to happen.
Okay, so you're turning me back into the warrior, Cenk. Okay, but let me try to handle it a different way. Can I get you to see it from the other perspective? Okay, so I hear what you're saying about the Israeli perspective. Well, these guys hit me. What do you want me to do? And I have a literal answer to that. I was asked, on October 8th or whenever I went on the first show afterwards, I said, yeah, you should use special forces like we did to get bin Laden. Is it riskier? Of course it is. But as Goliath, you have a responsibility, but you're still going after them. So there are real ways you could do military, you could do economic, you could do diplomatic. Israel has infinite power over the Palestinians. They control their lives completely and utterly. They could kill them at any moment, and they do. And the things that you described, they don't do that anymore at all. They're using an AI program called Where's Daddy? They have no idea if it's the right guy, but they wait till he gets home so that they kill his family with him. It's disgusting and deeply immoral. I think they're a terrorist state, and I think they do terrorism far worse than anything I've seen from the Palestinians. Now, having said all that, okay, so I'm a bad guy. If you're from Israel's perspective, you go, I don't like that. He's saying mean things about us, and we got every right to occupy these people and keep them as our slaves for 57 long, brutal years, and I'll do it for 500 more years because I'm superior to them. That's how I view Israel. And so I'm not a friend. I'm not like in the sense of what they're doing today. My God, they do a peace deal. I love Israel. Let's go together. And I want it to be beautiful, safe haven for Jews. They deserve it, etc. But can I get you to see the Palestinian perspective? How long do you want me to be occupied? How long do you want me to live under the thumb of a different people? How long would you accept that? What would you do that was different? And they've tried everything. They've gone to the UN, just like Israel did, rebuffed. They've tried diplomacy, rebuffed. They try everything, rebuffed, because Israel has infinite power because it controls America.
I can look at it from Palestinians' point of view, and I hate the loss of life in Palestine. I absolutely hate the loss of life in Palestine. I think when Hamas made the attack they did on October 7th, they put a sequence of events into play that they knew was going to happen. They don't value life, they value death. And I think they put all of those people in harm's way. They knew what they were doing when they did it. They're responsible for what's happening in Gaza Strip when they did what they did. They knew what was going to happen when they did it. So it's happening. And now this peace accord, will it hold? Netanyahu is, I suppose, skeptical of it when you're dealing with people in power whose prime directive is you be dead. It's hard to negotiate with people who are oriented to wipe you off the face of the earth. From the river to the sea, you can spin that any way you want, but that is what it is.
It's so hard not to get frustrated. I'm trying to make peace here, but Dr. Phil, look, last things on this. Number one, Netanyahu has said from the river to the sea. So don't tell me that you don't like from the river to the sea when your prime minister says it. Number two, he's actually doing river to the sea. and they're going to take Gaza, and they're going to try to take the West Bank. Number three, they've now killed 60 times the number of civilians. So how could killing 60 times the number of civilians be more morally correct than killing one time? It just doesn't make any sense. But America's only looking at it from the Israeli perspective. Oh my God, what would you do if you were attacked? Okay, but I'm asking you, what would you do if another race, country, religion, government was oppressing you for 57 years? They have to go to checkpoints. They get humiliated at every checkpoint. They have no rights at all. The settlers have killed 1,000 people in the West Bank. Nothing to do with the Gaza Strip, nothing to do with Hamas. Hamas is not in charge of the West Bank. They kill, oppress, humiliate, and then they go, I can't believe you're mad about it. Oh my God, I can't give you freedom because you don't like Israel. How were they supposed to like Israel? At what point would they have liked Israel? When they drove them from their homes in 1948? When they drove them off their land in the West Bank, the Gaza Strip? At what point, I mean, what kind of perverse logic is, I'm going to brutalize you for 60 years, but you have to love me. If you don't love me, then I'm not going to do peace with you. No, that's just saying I don't want to do peace with you. I don't want it. I want more land. And look at this. What a wonderful coincidence. Now, Trump is talking about giving them more land. Look, so the right-wing government of Israel is a plague upon this earth. And so I have tremendous sympathy for the people and the citizens of Israel. I have tremendous sympathy for Jewish people all across the world. And I think Netanyahu is putting them in more danger than I have ever seen in my life. He's not just terrible for Palestinians. He's not just terrible for Americans. He keeps taking our money over and over again. He's terrible for all Jews across the world. He's driving up anti-Semitism beyond description. He's doing all the things that people said that they would do. No, stop. You're a trope machine. Stop. And he won't stop because America enables him and keeps giving him blank check after blank check. I don't want to give another dollar to Israel until we have paid family leave. They have it, we don't. Why are we giving them money? Why don't they give us the $300 billion back?
Watch the moment it turned. Cenk Uygur lays out the David and Goliath frame. For all of Jewish history, Israel was David, traumatized, a people who've suffered as much as anyone. But the situation has changed. Now they're Goliath, with a bigger Goliath behind them. And Dr. Phil pounces on one word, you said but. As if acknowledging history and then saying the present is different is some kind of trick. It isn't. And that's the whole game right there. One man is trying to judge what's happening now. The other keeps dragging it back into an endless yeah but loop where nothing can ever be judged because everything is always complicated. Cenk names that loop out loud and refuses to step into it. Then he does the arithmetic nobody on that side wants done. 62,000 to 1,200. He doesn't run from the 1,200. Says his heart breaks, says there were children, grants all of it. And then, Israel has done every one of those things times 60. So how is killing 60 times the civilians more moral than one? Dr. Phil never answers. He can't. There's no answer that survives a complete sentence. So he changes the subject to the leaflets. No aggressor has gone to such lengths, he says, dropping warnings, get out of this area, we're coming. And here's the sleight of hand I want you to catch. Cenk doesn't argue the leaflets. He just puts the other fact on the table. The AI targeting system reported as "Where's Daddy?" that waits until a man returns home so the strike takes his family with him. You cannot hand a family a leaflet telling them to flee and run a program built to hit when they're all home. One of those is the press release. The other is the practice. And I have to stop here, because this is the part that should sit in your chest. A man walks through his own front door at the end of the day, the most ordinary thing a person does, and that's the trigger. His kids are at the table. That's not collateral. That's the design. Every working family watching knows what it is to come home to your kids after a long day. Someone weaponized exactly that. Now watch Cenk take Dr. Phil's strongest weapon and turn it around. Dr. Phil leans on from the river to the sea as proof Hamas wants Israel erased. Cenk hits back in 3 moves. Netanyahu himself has used that language. So don't tell me it's disqualifying when your own prime minister says it. He's not just saying it, he's doing it. Gaza, then the West Bank. And they've killed 60 times the civilians doing it. The phrase that's supposed to prove Palestinian extremism describes Israeli policy on the ground. And don't miss the West Bank point, because it quietly ends the "this is all about Hamas" framing. Settlers have killed roughly 1,000 people there. Hamas doesn't govern the West Bank. So the occupation that's been running 57 years was happening long before October 7th, and it's happening right now where Hamas has no control. October 7th didn't create the occupation. The occupation created the conditions. Here's the part Americans specifically need to hear. Cenk says it plainly. Israel has this power because it controls America. The money, the weapons, the cover at the UN. Follow the dollars. The reason this continues is that the bill is being paid, and you're helping pay it. Every American whose school is crumbling and whose rent ate the paycheck. When they tell you there's no money for that, but always money for this, that's not a coincidence. That's a choice. So here's the contradiction to leave with. Dr. Phil's whole posture was, I'm trying to make peace here. But every move, pouncing on, but reaching for the leaflets, invoking from the river to the sea, was to protect the more powerful side from being judged. Those aren't peace moves. They're defense attorney moves. And Cenk asked the simple question 4 ways. How long would you accept being occupied? Dr. Phil never answered one of them, because the honest answer indicts the position he was defending. 62,000 to 1,200. Leaflets versus where's daddy? 1,000 dead where Hamas doesn't even govern. No amount of it's complicated moves a single one of those facts. If you believe doing the moral math out loud shouldn't get a person branded an extremist, subscribe to The Honest Perspective. We don't launder the numbers, and we don't do the yeah but. I'm Neil. The math was never complicated. The courage to say it out loud is the only thing in short supply. That's The Honest Perspective, and that's where I'll leave you.